We left off in the last lesson talking about how to select things with jQuery. In this lesson, we're going to start digging into how to do stuff with it once we've selected it. The first thing we're going to cover is effects. The second thing we're going to cover is how to do things based on events. And the third thing is we're going to talk about is how to start manipulating things on the page in a deeper way. So to get started, let's look back at what we had before. So let's look at this overview mobile. I selected this, and if we hover, you can see what it is. It's this mobile first headline on the Get Bootstrap site. So the first thing I want to do is just show you how to do some different effects. So the first thing is just hide. So we can call functions just the same way we were calling functions on objects before, and that goes away. I can call show. Whoop, misspelled it. And it comes back. I can call fade out, fades out. I can call fade in. I can pass in a string slow, and it's going to fade in a little bit slower. I can do a number of seconds, or actually milliseconds. So I could do, if I wanted to fade out really slow, I could do like 6 seconds. 6,000 is 6 seconds, and it's going to fade out over 6 seconds. There's a lot, so we could do, I'm going to do slide down, and it's going to slide in. So anyway, there's a number of these different things that you can do, and basically it's just for manipulating something on the page, transitioning things, that sort of stuff. Also, if I select multiple things, so in that case I selected something with an ID, and an ID only has one on the page. That's the whole point of an ID. If I select h2 though, and there's a bunch, now if I do h2.hide, they should all go away. h2.fade in, and they're all going to come fading back. So all of that is cool, but it doesn't really do a lot for us yet. JavaScript is an event-based language, which means what we want to do is harness events, like when a user clicks on something, when a user hovers over something, when the user clicks a button, when the page loads. There's a whole lot of different things that we can listen to, and when those things happen, we manipulate the page or data in some way. So that's what we're going to start looking at now. In the most raw form, an event listener looks like this. So let's go back to our trusty mobile thing here. So let me remind myself what the ID is. Overview mobile. So back to the console. Then let's select it first to do a sanity check. Make sure that we got it. Okay, so we're going to assign a listener to this thing. And what that means is we're going to do something like this. We're going to do on, click. So there's this on function, and it takes 2 arguments. The first argument is what is the event we're listening to. The second argument is an anonymous function, which we have not really talked about, but I think it should make sense. So this function is actually an argument to the first function. And let's see, so Shift-Enter is how we're going to move that down. And when we click on Overview Mobile, let's just do alert clicked. Okay, so we have assigned a click event to Overview Mobile, so if I click it, we get this alert message. Okay, cool, so that's our first event. Now, you won't be using this on very much because jQuery did something smart, and they basically simplified this to just be click. So we can just say click function alert clicked, and this will do the same exact thing. To make sure we know it's different, let's say clicked again, and oops, clicked, clicked, clicked again. Okay, so we've actually assigned 3 events to the same thing, and they're all fire. To see this, you can look up $._data, then we're going to pass in the element we selected, And this is a little bit more advanced, but that element is in an array, and we want the first element. So we do array 0, and then we ask for the events. And that will tell us that we have an object with an array length 3, and it says a whole bunch of information about that. So let's see what happens when we call unbind on this, which is a function that is used to remove event listeners. So if I call unbind and then I look back at data events, it says it's undefined, so there's no more events. So anyway, that's a quick side note, but it's how to remove events from an item once you've assigned them. And if I click back on this, it doesn't do anything. So those events are gone. Okay, so let's get back to the plan. So let's do something a little more interesting. That's everything I wanted. So I want to assign an event to this and actually do something with this item instead of just alerting some random text. And this time I'm going to use .hover, which is used in the same way as .click. And we're going to talk about this interesting thing called this. First thing I'm going to do is just console.log this. So when I hover, you can see that it's logging out this H2, overview mobile, context, so on and so forth. So what's happening? This, in between parentheses with a $sign, is a special jQuery thing. And basically what I want to do is be able to reference the thing that the action occurred to. So this is like, in this context, it's this overview mobile, but in the context of a jQuery event, this is the thing that the action is happening to. So what that means is I can call methods on this item. So let's change the color. And we'll just make it blue when we hover over it. Now this is not the way you would normally do this. You would handle this with CSS, but for the sake of example, when we hover over it, it's blue, and we're still getting our log because we didn't detach the event. By the way, if you jump over to api.jquery.com/category/events, you'll get a full list of all the different things that you can use in place of what I'm doing here. Not everything will work exactly the same way. If you want to see most of the things that will, you can look at the mouse events. There's also keyboard events, form events, so on and so forth. I want to head on over to a different page in this. So let's see, there's inputs somewhere on this page. Sorry if that makes your head spin that I'm scrolling. Input, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So clear all those errors. So I'm going to inspect this, and this is form control. Okay, so I'm going to select this form control element, which you should be comfortable with by now. I'm going to call first to get the first one and see if that's the one that I'm looking at here. Yes, it is. Okay. So get the first one, and we can call all of the same methods on it that we have been. I'm going to introduce a few new things here. So get the, that's not it. We want the form control. Dot first. Okay, so I'm going to call dot key up. And what this is a new listener that we haven't talked about, and it's in these keyboard events if you want to go through here and read. jQuery has awesome documentation that will tell you everything you need to know about it. But if you look at key up and then you type function, so what we want to do here is I want to actually introduce this idea where you can listen to the event and you can actually log the event itself or deal with the event itself. So when you attach an event listener to an item, you pass in a function. Whenever you pass in E, that E is actually the event itself. So we could do console.log E whenever somebody types, and you'll see what I mean. So this is the item we're talking about. So if I click here and I type something, it's going to spit out this event. Original event, keyboard event, type key up. And another really interesting thing is, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things in here, but one that you'll see pretty often is this key code. That's pretty cool. There's the target, so it tells you which item it was targeting. You can do a lot with that. Let's see, so I'm going to unbind all this stuff so we can add some more to this. So now if I type, you shouldn't see anything, right? Okay. So now let's add something here. So we talked about this, and I want to show you how you can call some methods on this. So we'll do console.log again, and then we're going to do $this.val. Okay, so now when I type, it's printing out every time the key comes up, and I typed that in really fast, so it didn't catch it exactly right. But when you type and the key comes up, it's printing it out in the console what it is. So what I want to do here is actually, when I start typing, I want to actually do something in the page. Now, this won't be a super useful thing, but it's a practical thing to see how we can start manipulating the page. So I'm going to create something, I'm going to call it template. And it's just going to be kind of some HTML. And actually, this is not how I want to do this. I want to create a function. And I'm going to pass in a name. And then I want to return P, and then it's going to say hello, and then we're going to say plus name, and I did something wrong. Oh, I left off a quote. Okay, so if I do template, and then I do Bob again, so it's hello Bob. Okay, cool. So what I want to do is I actually want to grab this item again that we were dealing with a second ago, this input, or actually form control, I think, dot first, that's what it was. And then what I want to do is add a key up to this. And I want to make sure that I pass in the event like we talked about. Then I'm going to do if e dot keycode equals 13, which means if it's the enter key, that's the key code for enter. So if it's enter, what I want to do is I want to say this. So I'm talking about the form control, so this form element, this dot after, so immediately after, I want to pass in the template with, okay, so at this point I could pass in, you know, Bob like I did before, and it's going to put Bob right after this input, but that's not really what I want to do. What I want to do is if you hit enter, I want to get the value from this, and I want to say this dot val. And let's see what happens. So if I type Jeff and I hit enter, it says hello Jeff. Now it's not pretty, but it adds it, and that's pretty awesome.